Now to get us started with our portraits of Piglet, he's going to start with a basic shape, and the shape's going to be a circle here. And so right at the middle of our paper, we want to draw in a circle about the size of a baseball, or an orange is a good size here as well. As you can see here, keeping my circle very light, really rough, and sketchy. Just really building up my circle with lots and lots of curved lines, really blending all these lines together in one big shape. Once you've got your circle in place, the next steps we need to add in are what we call guidelines to help us place in some of Piglet's features here. And so we're going to go to the top of our circle now, and we're going to sketch down a C-shaped curve that's going to bend towards the right side of our shape here. And this guideline is just showing us what direction Piglet's going to be facing. Then from the bottom of our circle here on the left-hand side, we want to lightly stretch up a rainbow next. That's going to go through the bottom quarter of our circle now. And this line is going to help us in placing in Piglet's eyes. And this will give us our basic foundation for Piglet, but it looks nothing like it. With this foundation in place though, this is where we can really start to build up the rest of our pig's head. And so we're going to go to the right-hand side of our circle now. And on this side here, we're going to stretch down a really big curve to give ourselves this really big number 9 here on the right. Then to build up the back of Piglet's head here, we're going to go from the left side of our circle, and I'm going to stretch down more of this diagonal line here on the left. Once you've got these two lines in place, we can close off the bottom of his head by just connecting our 2 points together at the bottom with this stretched out letter E. And there you folks have it. You just drew yourselves a thumb. And now that we've got his head shaped in place, the first facial feature we do want to give Piglet is going to be that really big nose of his. And for that nose here, it's going to sit in this bottom right section of our circle. And so on the inside of this space here, you want to add in this very big rounded triangle next. You can think of the shape of Piglet's nose kind of like we're drawing in a guitar pick because he rocks. Or if you're hungry, this is just a very inflated Dorito chip for a nose. And once you've got that triangular shaped nose in place, since his nose is that darker tone of pink, you're also more than welcome to go back in and just really shading his nose nice and soft on the inside. But Piglet's nose does rest on a snout. And if we leave his portrait like this though, Piglet's going to look like he ran into a wall. And we don't want that for this little guy. And so to give Piglet a snout line next, we're going to go to the top of his nose here. And we want to draw in this very tiny letter J, kind of curving off the left here. Piglet is a pretty happy pig in the 100-acre wood, and so to give him his smile next, we're going to go to the bottom of his nose, from this right corner here, and we'll start his smile by stretching out this U-shaped curve, and we're going to pull this letter U into that bottom left section of our circle. And this letter U will give us just the start to Piglet's smile. To make his smile even cuter now, from the end of this letter U, we want to give Piglet a little smile line next. And this is just a little rainbow here on the end, and to show us that his cheeks going to be pushed up as he smiles nice and big here. And you're more than welcome to keep his smile just like this. You know he's looking pretty content with life. But if you want to make him look even happier here, you can draw him with what we call an open mouth smile by just going right back to that smile line here. And I'll open up his mouth now by stretching down this really big letter J. And as we bring this J-shaped curve down to close off the rest of his mouth hair from the end of the letter J, we'll just stretch one more curve right back up to that letter G. But if you gave Piglet this open mouth smile though, right on the inside here, we are going to be seeing his tongue. And so to add in that tongue of his, we're going to go to the bottom of his mouth here. And right on the inside, you want to draw in a small little gumdrop for a smile here. And if you're feeling a little fancy, you can even shape in the back of his mouth just to make that tongue stand out a little bit more continued. Now, Piglet's voice was actually done by a man named John Fiedler. Now, John's last role with Disney, before he passed away though, was actually in the Emperor's New Groove. If you've seen that movie, he voices the old man that throws off the Emperor's groove and gets thrown out the window. And it's every time I go back and rewatch that movie, I just imagine Piglet being now that we got his smile in place, we do want to get Piglet his chin next. And so for his chin here, we want to go from the bottom of his smile, and in that space between the smile and the bottom of his head, you want to find that middle point, right between those two. And we want to draw in a small letter E here. And with that chin in place, to really finish off the lower half of Piglet now, we do want to give this little guy his right cheek that we're going to be seeing pushing out from the right side of his face here. And so hopping over here to the right hand side, right where we ended that rainbow guideline, I actually want to extend this guideline out now, and I'm going to bring this curve down to give myself what will look like this really stretched out number 7. You can also think of this as a little hook shape here on the side as well. And as I bring this little head down, I just want to blend this curve right into the bottom of this head shape here. And once you've got his cheek in place, the hardest part of our drawings are complete, and you all are actually about halfway done with your sketches of Piglet. And so I just want to check in with everyone. How's everyone doing so far? Good, not too bad. Seeing a lot of focused artists out here, that's excellent. We'll go ahead and give everyone a chance to kind of catch up before we continue on. I'll give you guys a little bit of 100 Acre trivia. Now, as you all may know, Piglet and friends are all stuffed animals in the 100 Acre Wood. But there's actually only 3 animals that are real animals there. Can anyone guess who the 3 friends might be? I'll take a clue. Those are stuffed animals. Good guesses. Owl, rabbit, and take a good guess. This friend digs holes. Gopher. Yes, a lot of people forget about Gopher. And there's actually a little fun fact about Gopher in particular. When the Walt Disney Company was actually introducing these Winnie the Pooh characters to the American audiences, they wanted to include an animal known here in the United States. And so they actually removed Piglet and added Gopher into the series. And when that happened, a lot of audiences weren't too happy that they took out this cute little pig. And so actually brought Piglet back in, and that's how Gopher came to stay with the group. Now it looks like everyone's about caught up here. So this is where we want to go ahead and bring our pig to life. Because Piglet is a stuffed animal, he's going to have those small little button eyes to him. And so if you look at your smile line here, you want to think of this as an arrow pointing up. And we'll go on our guideline, and we want to add in this small little oval, little apple seed for his eye here. And for his button eye on the right hand side, we'll go right above his nose. And on the right side of that snout line, I'll add in another small little oval here too. And once you've got his little button eyes in place, we want to make sure we go back in, maybe shade these nice and dark on the inside here too. Now right below Piglet's left eye, we also are going to be seeing a little crease to his cheek, pushing up the bottom of his eye here as well. And so to complete the cheek for Piglet, we just want to draw in a small little rainbow right below his left eye here. And now that we've got him nice and awake, to make him a little bit more expressive, we do want to give our pigs some eyebrows. And so for those eyebrows of his, we're going to go right above those button eyes. And right above each eye here, we want to cap these off with a couple of small rainbows. And Piglet very much is a product of the 90s. He's going to have these pencil thin brows. You don't want to make these too thick for him. It's not about that 2023 one. And once you've got those eyebrows on point, the last feature we do want to give Piglet are going to be those big felt ears that he has. Now to show that those ears are sewn to the top of his head here, we're going to go to the inside of our circle. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to follow that same curve of the circle, just adding in this, really just this little sideways rainbow right on the inside of that original circle. And I like to think of the shape of Piglet's ears as these really big leaves that we're going to be drawing in. And so to add in this first ear here, we'll start from the bottom of the seam line, and we're going to build up the back of his ear by by stretching up this really big letter C curve. And really feel free to make his ears really as big as you like. The bigger you make his ears here, the more baby-like and cuter he's going to look in your drawings. And once you've got this C-shaped curve in place, we want to round out the tip of Piglet's ear. And so we'll go from the top of our curve, and we'll soften this up at the top by adding in this little hill here. And once you've got the tip of his ear in place, to close off the rest of the ear on the side, we're going to add in what we call an S curve next. And so for right between those 2 points, I'm just adding in this curvy letter S, and really giving myself that nice big leaf shape, or even a slice of a mango here too. And once you've got this first ear nice and dark, we can even darken in the top of Piglet's hair. And so the lines are starting to fade away just like mine. And this is where you want to go back in, pick out your favorite circle line at the top, and we'll darken this in, bringing this curve right to the top of his cheek here. Now to add in Piglet's second ear, we'll hop right back up to the top of his head. And just like how we wrote up that first ear, we're going to have this second ear off to the right as well. And we want to round out the tip of this ear as well, because we don't want to give Piglet any sharp points or angles. We save those sharp points and angles more for our villainous characters. And so if his ears come out too pointy, then they'll start to look like horns, and then we'll end up with like a Maleficent Piglet on our paper. But I'm pretty sure if Piglet were to be dressed up like Maleficent, he'd be scared of himself. Piglet's definitely one of those characters where if we took him on It's a Small World, he thinks it's going too fast. Once you got that second ear in place, this is where we can go back to the rest of his head here on the sides, and we can darken this in all the way around. If you want to go for a simple look for Piglet, you're more than welcome to keep his portraits just like this. But if you do want to add in just a little bit more extra credit here, I also love to add in just a bit of that onesie that he wears in the film as well. And so if you want to add in that onesie with me, just right below his head here, you want to stretch down just 2 small little curves, one on each side. And to add in some stripes to that onesie, right below his head, add in a couple letter U's here towards the bottom. Now, Piglet is considered the tiniest friend in the 100-acre wood. But just how tiny is this little guy? Well, according to the author, A.A. Milne, Piglet is so tiny that you can actually fit him in your pocket. And so that's why he's the only character that can actually read and write in the 100-acre wood, because Christopher Robin would always take this little guy to school with him. Once you've got all that in place, that's pretty much the last step that you need for your pictures of your little pig here. And so this is the time in your drawings when you want to go back in, do some touch-up work, and you can go back and put the shade in his ears and that little bit of that onesie as well. But once you've got all that in place, really the last mark any artist truly needs to leave on their work before it's complete, though, are going to be your signatures. So make sure you do find a spot somewhere next to your figure. And go ahead and sign big and proud, because you have discerned how to draw your very own portrait of Piglet.